Hi guys, this is Christine from A Naturally Balanced Dog, and I wanted to take a moment and talk to those people who are just now trying to figure out something to do for their dog that is having allergies. And so one of the things that I notice, because I belong to a lot of different groups, is that once somebody decides they want to do something a little bit more naturally and try to figure out if there is a way for them to help their dog feel better by just switching a diet and hope for the best. But one of the things I think that we do, because it is so confusing out there, that we reach out in these groups and we say, hey, my dog has hives, and maybe you snap a picture and you put it up there. What can I do about this? And then all of a sudden you get about 60 or 70 different responses. And the problem with that is they don't know your dog. They don't know what's going on. They don't know what you're feeding. They don't know what the dog has been exposed to, things of that nature. So, reaching out to people, asking them for some help is great. So I'm not bashing that or anything like that. But the problem is, if you're just going to treat the symptoms, for example, the rash or the skin condition or the digestive issue, then you are not getting to the root of the issue. And so you don't know if your dog has, excuse me, a food allergy and what the food allergy is. You don't know if your dog is having issues with toxicity, maybe an environmental, lawn chemicals and or blacktop or dust mites or things of that nature. You don't know if it is a toxicity to heavy metal exposure, such as heavy metals that they might find in their food. Rice, white rice, brown rice, very high in arsenic. And so that's not something that you can get around. So if you've been feeding your dog, a protein, beef and rice or lamb and rice or something of that nature, it can create a toxic internal environment. You don't know if your dog's digestive system is off and if it's caused from a nutritional deficiency. So there's a lot of variables when you go into trying to help your dog. And so I just wanted to kind of create a little video here and, maybe help give you some suggestions. One, if you don't know what's going on, then I would recommend going to our website, and we have a test that you can do that is a very low cost, or at least what I would consider in comparison to your blood work or your saliva tests and things of that nature, which is a hair analysis. And so the hair analysis is not the same as a saliva or a blood test, because those could be not always accurate. A hair analysis is based on biofeedback, and so biofeedback measures the sensitivity level of different elements, whether they be food or whether they be environmental or heavy metal or even a nutritional deficiency. And so it kind of does it is a little bit more on the holistic side. And so it does it by the energetic field of the body versus that particular element. And so again, like blood work and or the saliva tests, it doesn't always give you the sensitivity level. It might give you that your dog has a specific allergy, but sensitivities and then tolerances are just as important as knowing that your dog actually has an allergy to something, because the sensitivity or an intolerance may not show immediately, but can be something that comes within 2 to 3 weeks later, and so it becomes very spotty, and it can sometimes be hard to diagnose. So that's what I like about the biofeedback, is it really kind of actually measures through the biofeedback. And so that's one key. But obviously your dog is having a symptom to something and is exhibiting, and when you're on the groups and you're looking for advice, be specific. This is what my dog eats. This is how much my dog eats. These might be some exposures. These are things that have changed. My dog has had these issues ongoing for the last year or for the last 3 months, or has just recently developed. All of those help kind of give some indicators. And so, a lot of people will tell you maybe some things that you could try to help calm the skin or calm the digestion, which is always good, because nobody wants to see their dog suffer. So, be a little bit more specific when you're asking questions. I think this way people could really help you out, particularly if you're an individual that is looking for assistance when it comes to changing the dog's diet. And so I see a lot of times where they're like, we'd like to start raw, but raw food, but I don't know where to begin. And so there's a lot of confusion out there, because there's a lot of opinions out there based on what module they might be used to. And so what I mean by that is, they got a rotational diet, you got a barf diet, you got an 80-10, 5-5 diet, and you have a science-based diet. You've got people who want to feed their dogs vegetarians and or vegan, diets. And so there is a lot of information that is out there, and it can be very difficult to digest and figure out where do you go from there. So, a lot of people who've been in the industry a long time, and or people who have a specialty in particular fields. So in other words, somebody who is an herbalist, and or somebody who has worked in essential oils, and or somebody who has been doing digestion or raw feeding for a long time and has become an educator. And so, not that I'm bashing veterinarians or anything like that, but a lot of veterinarians do not have education when it comes to nutrition for dogs. So, I think a lot of times we just naturally go to our vet, and your vet is going to recommend to you either some kind of medication to control the symptom, and or a medicated dog food that really is poor in quality and can further exacerbate some of the issues that you're having, and or after you go off that product, that your dog goes right back to having symptoms. So really trying to figure out the core of the issue is going to be key. But my point was that there are a lot of people, raw food and fresh food feeders are really starting to become more recognized in the industry. And there are a lot of people like myself who have put themselves through a lot of education beyond a person who maybe just takes a class and considers themselves an expert. And I'm not saying that they're not an expert, but I don't think a class is going to cut the mustard when it comes to really having a better understanding of what is the nutrition a dog needs, and or how do you deal with supplements, and or how do you create a diet. So there are a few businesses that are out there with very knowledgeable people, so I would reach out to them. But anyways, so again, this was a long video, but it's just kind of one of those things that has been on my mind, because I do see a lot of people that are out there who are reaching out for some assistance. So again, I just wanted to give you some key thoughts. One, again, getting the test. I think that is a great value. Again, it tests over 350 different elements, food elements, different proteins, vegetables, grains, things of that nature. And then it tests environmental, such as, different grasses and trees, fleas, dust mites, things like that, different chemical components, additives that you might find in your food. It does give you a heavy metal report that tests if your dog has sensitivities to certain heavy metals, and that could also gear what your dog's diet should be, or what you want to veer away from certain foods that might be high in those particular heavy metals, and or looking at what you feed your dog. If you're feeding out of a metal bowl or clay, ceramic, those can certainly add to toxic level of particular metals or environmentals. But and then again, some nutritional deficiencies, because all of those could give your dog symptoms that you would think might be an allergy related, but it might not be. And again, when you reach out to people in groups, try to be as specific as you can without writing a whole documentary on your dog, but really kind of just bullet some key points. And then reaching out to professionals in the industry that are knowledgeable and can help get you on your way. Because the one thing that all of those people in the group don't have is they don't really have the information that is more specific about your dog. And every dog is different. And so what works for one dog doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work for your dog. And so I just wanted to wish you a happy afternoon. And I hope this gives you a little bit of information and maybe a little guidance for those of you who are new to trying to figure out how to help your dog with allergies. And if you haven't, go to naturallybalanceddog.com. It really has a tremendous amount of information in regards to foods, where to start. Again, it's geared towards dogs that have allergy issues, and it can give you some key points. You can always reach out and do consultation. And so, again, just have a great day, and we'll be talking to you soon. Bye-bye now.